In the meantime, Katie's in LA going wind fishing for the Sacramento Kings.
Nice.
Thanks. As they take on the disliked, I didn't even say hated, disliked LA Lakers tonight. And she joins us right now. She'll be on the call with Mark Jones. And, of course, you won't hear much of her because you'll be listening to Sactown Sports and hearing that call with Gary Gerald. But you can turn it on and see her while you're listening to
There you go.
Good morning, Katie.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Katie.
Hey, Adrian Wojnarowski just put out a sourced breaking news. The NBA is looking further into the Warriors-Timberwolves scuffle, including Draymond Green's headlock on Rudy Gobert, including video and interviews that are expected to be completed soon. Like, are Adrian? Did Adrian and Shams lose a bet where like they have to send out the most inane? Hey, Katie, guess what? The NBA is looking further into the giant brawl last night. Your thoughts?
Yeah, exactly. By the way, that was just absolutely insane. Like every part of it was insane, and it's the. I don't know. I don't know what to say other than the fact that I'm not surprised. And I really, truly hope that the NBA does something significant about that. Because I think when some people get to a point where they feel kind of invincible and untouchable, that it allows them to act out in a way that really can start to be dangerous to other people around them.
So what would you do? What would be your suggestion there? I'm assuming you're talking about Draymond.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this. This sounds crazy, and I'm going to get a lot of people that are Warriors fans. And I read a ton of the comments last night about, the Warriors call, which was a little bit, kind of shocking to me. You got to be able to like just say it how it is, regardless of who you work for and whose call you are on. Like, there is nothing that is acceptable about what Draymond did. But, this might be an unpopular view and people might hate on me for this, but, you look at the suspension of Ja Morant for 25 games for waving a gun. I don't condone that at all. Like what he did, like the NBA came down hard on him, but it's like, are they going to come down? And I'm not saying equally as hard on Draymond for what he did, but this is serious. You could hurt somebody. That was so uncalled for in every way, shape, and form. And I feel like sometimes people feel invincible, like nothing is going to happen to them. And, it's just going to be like a 1-game suspension, big deal. Like, I don't think this is a 1 or 2 game suspension thing. I think this deserves significant time. Because that was ridiculous.
David Stern would suspend him for 10 games, I think. That's David Stern.
Say that again?
David Stern would suspend him for something around 10 games if that was the case. And we talked about this earlier, Katie. You saw the other night, Giannis Antetokounmpo got a sack at tactical and tossed because he glanced at what's-his-face after the dunk. And Monty McCutcheon, the head of the referees or whatever his title is, said yesterday that, and he makes a salient point, whether you agree with it or not, I understand his point, which is, hey, look, if we don't police taunting, there's a lot of egos and it tends to escalate and eventually
it overflows
and leads to physical. So the point is this. If Giannis Antetokounmpo or anybody taunting is going to get policed because it could lead to escalations, then Draymond Green I'm talking about the first game a couple nights ago against Minnesota, where you heard him saying, "What you going to do about it?" to Anthony Edwards. If that is 10 times worse than Giannis staring at a guy he just dunked on for a half a second. So I'm hoping they look at this as an increasing level of Draymondiness and lay it out that way.
Well, you make an interesting point because the kind of initiation of his point of where his frame of mind started a few days ago. when Anthony Edwards said, ain't nobody scared of you, Draymond.
Yeah.
And to me, that's an interesting point because he came in there so fast. It's like he was just looking for the slightest excuse to be able to puff his chest and be like, you should be scared of me. And by the way, like, the disturbing thing to me about all of this is it has no place in sports. None. Like, if you watch how that whole thing escalated, it started with Klay Thompson using his fist to grab around the shirt of McDaniels.
Yep.
It started that way. And just because McDaniels didn't back down, it carries up the floor, and Draymond jumps in not knowing what happened. And it's like, yeah, you got to have your guys back. Well, that's the same thing as, like, to me, to a certain extent, like, no matter what, it's my child. I'm going to defend them no matter what. I don't believe in that point of view. It's like, I'm not going to defend somebody that is the reason that this is happening, that they started this. Like, I'm not going to let them get hurt, but I'm not going to defend them, And so I hate this because, I look at it this way. My almost 10-year-old stepson watches every single NBA game, every single NFL game, every single college game that he can get his hands on. And this is the crap that we're showing these kids.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I hate it. There's no place for it in sports.
I want to go back to, for both of you, if we go back to Kings Warriors, remember when Draymond and Sabonis, that incident, and Draymond was suspended. There was some controversy over that in game 3 of the playoffs. Well, I'm looking at the quotes back then of Joe Dumars. He used the quotes, quote, excessive and over-the-top actions, and also, quote, a repeat offender. So that was one of the reasons behind his suspension back then. Mm-hmm. So, you just add onto the list. So it'll be interesting to see really what the league does here, Katie. I'm not sure what they'll do. I know you're asking for a pretty big punishment, but I don't know, but there certainly has to be a punishment.
Oh gosh, yeah, there has to be a punishment. I mean, it can't be light. And you know what? I actually feel for Steve Kerr and his coaching staff, because you have a job to compete and get your team into the playoffs, contend for a title. And it sucks when one of your players is tying a hand behind your back. It really does. It puts you in a tough position. It's, I hate it when things become about a person and their ego and not about a team. And I think that's what this is about. And, this has been the mentality has been escalating for a long time.
Kayte Christensen joining us. I did not expect that to be the end of your point, Katie. Or did we? Or did we lose her?
No, I'm
okay.
here.
Okay, sorry. I didn't. You were just. I thought there's a cadence generally to your answers, and that was a.
I think what you're getting in my cadence right now is just like a frustration that this is even happening. That's the part for me.
Well, look, I know this is the top story of the day, and I'd also wouldn't mind spending some time either on how washed James Harden is.
No.
We were texting last night about that Clippers matchup. But let's look at our Sacramento Kings. That's why we're here. I know people want to hear about the Kings and Lakers tonight. We also, Jason and I both agreed we no longer hate the Lakers more than the Warriors. The Warriors are easily number one now. But this is whatever it is, crypto.com Staples, who cares arena. And LeBron and Anthony Davis are playing. Here's a fun stat for you tonight, Kayte Christensen. You ready?
Sure.
She's going to say she already knew. Domantas Sabonis in 7 meetings with Anthony Davis is 7-0.
I did not know that.
Have them make a graphic about that, Katie. 7-0 against Anthony Davis. They match up tonight. Obviously, there's other matchups happening as well. How do the Kings win the game against the Lakers tonight?
Oh, my goodness. I feel like every time you play the Lakers, it's a little bit different. Obviously, the last time we played the Lakers, it was at Golden One, and it was an overtime win. And that's when De'Aaron Fox hurt his ankle that kept him out for 5 games. I feel like the Kings are a different team than when we faced the Lakers last. If the Kings are able to play like they did a couple nights ago, that's who they are. That's what makes them special. That is what makes them an elite team. Which, by the way, I love to like be listening to like, the TNT show and have them mention the Kings as an elite team in the Western Conference. It's like I still will never get over that. Like I'll always enjoy and appreciate that. But if they're making their shots, if they're knocking down threes at the volume that we know they're capable of, they really have struggled most of the start of this season. Other than like the first game of the season, they have just not shot the ball the way that they are capable of, and the way that they did last year on a fairly consistent basis. So if you're able to have De'Aaron Fox get downhill, break paint, spray threes, and the ball movement, watching the Lakers, like I watched yesterday, I was rewatching their game against the Suns a few games ago for them now, actually, because they played Memphis last night. They just stand a lot to me. They rely so much on LeBron to do things and almost are hesitant, I feel like, at times. And they're changing their lineups and they're trying to look for combination of guys. I think you have to put pressure on them offensively. Yes, they're big. Yes, they're long and athletic, but they also don't play with pace. If you can speed them up and make them play at your pace, I think it's a really, beneficial thing for the Kings.
And one other thing too, Katie, about the Kings in that last game, or we've seen it a couple times this year, their new secret weapon. How about Keegan defensively? How great has he been on that end of the floor?
What's happening?
What do you mean? What were you? Let me guess. Were you hearing something playing in your ear that wasn't Jason or I?
Yes.
Yeah. Nate Littlefield says hello. He pressed the wrong button. We're gonna.
Sorry, Katie.
That's okay, Jason. I don't know if you heard his question.
Yeah, I was asking about Keegan and his
it.
defense. Yeah, how much of a secret weapon that's become.
Oh my gosh, I am so just infatuated with this component of Keegan. And by the way, I want to say this: he's starting to shoot the ball better, and I really kind of am surprised. Like, I don't feel like Kings fans got on him at all. I think that's how lovable this guy is. While he was really struggling to shoot the ball in the beginning of the season, but I've been so adamantly trying to kind of step in front of what's going on, because the things that Keegan are being asked to do this year, I've never seen an increase in responsibility from first year to second year to this degree. I really haven't. Last year, he was a spot up shooter that they kind of hit on the defensive end. And then, Mike Brown would be like, hey, it'd be great if you could defend, or not defend, but rebound a little bit. That would be nice. And every time he was asked to do something, even though albeit kind of small, he responded and he did it. And this year, not only really honestly is he like, sometimes maybe the second option in our offense, but he's also being asked to defend the best guard player on the teams that they're facing. And I think that has a little bit to do with why he struggled a little bit offensively in the beginning of the season, because he's adjusting to that type of a workload, to working that hard on the defensive end and then coming down and not just being a spot up shooter, but being someone that is being run off screens, having to put it on the deck and dribble pull-ups and he's dunking and he's doing all of these different things on the offensive end while also defending some of the best guards in this league night in and night out. And I love that Mike Brown has given him that challenge, because he knows how capable he is of that. And I love the kind of theory of using his size and his length on guys like, Donovan Mitchell and Steph Curry, and making them have to deal with that type of a defender. He's been easily, like, I'm so impressed, maybe the most impressive player early in the season for me. And that says a lot, because he has not consistently shot the ball well yet.
That's Kayte Christensen down in LA. Check her out on the call with Mark Jones tonight, 7 p.m. Also ESPN. as well. But of course, you'll be paying attention to she and he. Also, Gary Gerald on the call right here on Sactown Sports. Have fun in LA and hurry home, Katie. Oh, wait. Excuse me. Also,
in a couple weeks, guys.
And you know what? This is the last time we're going to talk to her publicly. So let me just say this. I know we got a break, but coming up for Katie, and this is, she's going to be on the road for Thanksgiving, but tomorrow, Kayte Christensen, happy 49th birthday.
Oh, whoa.
Honestly, we'll have a dinner for you when you get back.
Of course,
and all that fun stuff. But
sure,
happy birthday. One away from the big one, but enjoy the rest of your 40s.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a good one, guys.
You too. Bye. Notice how she doesn't correct me with her actual age, though.
She did not.
Which is, I'm trying to bait her into doing that. She's like, okay, whatever, dude.
Yeah.